Hi there, I'm Lorraine. After our family reunion, I got home, opened my banking app, and everything was gone. Not stolen by strangers, my own father took it. When I confronted him, he just shrugged and said, "We needed it." But that wasn't the worst part. Turns out, this wasn't a one-time mistake. It was years of silent manipulation, fake emergencies, loans taken out in my name, even teaching my niece to lie. And for the longest time, I stayed quiet because they were family. But now I wonder, how many times did I mistake love for loyalty? The smell of charcoal and overcooked ribs still clung to my shirt as I stepped out of my parents' house and into the thick Boise heat. It was that kind of family reunion, the kind where everyone hugs too hard, asks too much, and gives too little. My mom had spent the afternoon gliding around with her signature wine glass like it was a trophy, pretending everyone loved each other. My dad, Ricky, mostly sat with the TV on mute, occasionally grunting out his opinion about politics or the price of gas. And Darlene? She was in rare form. "You probably make 6 figures now, right?" she blurted between bites of potato salad. God must be nice. I laughed it off because that's what I always do. That's what keeps the peace. But something about the way she said it, sharp, loud, as if she wanted the whole backyard to hear, stuck in my chest like a splinter. By the time I got to my car, I could feel a headache building behind my eyes. My father gave me a half-hearted wave and said, "Drive safe, Lorraine. Don't forget, you're the lucky one in this family." I didn't respond. I just smiled tight and started the engine. On the drive home, the sky was still glowing from the last stretch of sunset, but the heat hadn't let up. The air conditioning felt like a blessing, but my mind wouldn't shut off. I kept hearing his voice. "You're the lucky one." As if luck had anything to do with why I was the only one who hadn't borrowed money, tanked their credit, or moved back in with our parents after 40. I got home just after 8:30, kicked off my shoes, tossed my purse on the kitchen counter, and instinctively opened my laptop. Checking my account balance had become second nature, a mix of anxiety and habit after a lifetime of being the responsible one. I wasn't prepared for what I saw. The screen loaded. My checking account showed $87.16. I blinked, hit refresh. Same number. Yesterday, I had just over $14,000 in there. I had transferred a bonus check from work. I remember double-checking the deposit. I refreshed again. Still $87.16. My hands started to tremble. I opened the transaction history. 3 large transfers had gone through since Friday, each for thousands, all originating from a familiar IP address. My parents' Wi-Fi, the same one I had connected to during the reunion. A chill ran down my spine. My fingers hovered over the trackpad as if they could reverse it by pausing, as if staring long enough might bring the money back. My breath got shallow. I muttered to myself, No way. He wouldn't. Not Dad. But deep down, something cracked, like a curtain finally lifting. The signs had always been there. A week before the reunion, Darlene had called, voice shaking and tearful. "Lori, I hate asking, but the girls need supplies for school. I'm tapped out. Just $300, please." I wired it to her within 10 minutes. 2 days later, she posted a selfie on Instagram, nails freshly done, holding a mimosa. Self-care Sunday. Another post showed a brunch spread that could have fed a family of 5. The caption said, "Treat yourself." I remembered staring at my phone, a pit forming in my stomach, but I didn't say anything. I told myself, maybe someone else paid. Maybe she deserved a break. But now, the pieces were rearranging themselves. I sat at my dining table, staring at the screen. My apartment was quiet, except for the soft hum of the fridge and the blood rushing in my ears. I hadn't even taken off my jacket. I scrolled through old mental files, memories I had buried under politeness. The time I covered her rent just for 1 month. The time Dad's battery died and I handed over $200 without blinking. The time Mom said, "You've always been good with money." Not everyone's like that. No one asked. They just assumed I'd help, that I should help, that I existed to help. And suddenly that $87.16 meant something more than missing money. It meant they never saw me. Not really. I whispered aloud. They didn't even ask. I stared at the balance again. No one had called to warn me. No one had said, "Hey, we're in a bind." No one even pretended this was a shared decision. Just 3 emptying clicks, and the life I'd been quietly building drained out of me. I stood slowly, grabbed my coat again. My body moved before my brain did. I didn't call. I didn't text. I just grabbed my keys and walked out. I was going back tonight. The drive back to my parents' house was short, just under 20 minutes, but it felt longer under the weight of everything I couldn't yet explain. Streetlights flickered above me as I turned into their quiet neighborhood. I passed the same white picket fences, the same trimmed hedges, and it hit me how many times I'd made the same drive. Birthdays, holidays, emergencies that weren't mine. This time it was me who needed answers. The porch light was still on when I pulled into the driveway. Their living room window glowed with a soft bluish hue. Dad probably watching the news with the volume too low to hear anything. I rang the bell once. Pamela opened the door, wine glass still in hand. Her eyebrows were raised, but her tone was light. "Well, that was fast. Did you forget something, sweetheart?" "No," I said, stepping inside. "We need to talk. Now." The house smelled like warm leftovers and fabric softener. Familiar.
Disarming.
That was their trick. Make everything look normal on the outside, so you feel crazy for knowing it's not. Ricky barely turned his head from the couch. Darlene was stretched out on the armchair, scrolling on her phone like this was any other Sunday night. I didn't sit down. I stood in the middle of the room and said it. "My bank account is empty."
Gone.
All of it. Ricky didn't blink. Darlene didn't pause. Pamela frowned, tilted her head. "Oh, Lorraine, don't be so dramatic." I stared at her. "I'm not being dramatic. I'm being robbed." That got Ricky's attention. He took a sip of his beer and finally looked at me. "We needed it." I blinked. Darlene sighed like I had just inconvenienced her. "You're seriously going to throw a fit over money? You don't have a mortgage, no kids, no one depending on you." Pamela chimed in gently. "They were struggling, honey. Sometimes things happen. We didn't want to ask." "You didn't ask," I snapped. "You just took." Ricky shrugged like that made sense. "You've always helped before. What's different now?" I didn't know whether to laugh or scream. "I helped because I chose to, not because you stole from me." "You're blowing this out of proportion," Darlene said, finally setting her phone down. "It's not like we ran off to Vegas. We paid bills, groceries, rent, survival." Pamela sat on the edge of the recliner, acting like I'd accused her of something unthinkable. "It's just money, Lorraine." "No," I said, voice low. "It's trust. And you broke it." The room went quiet for a beat too long. Then Ricky said, "You didn't say we couldn't." I stared at him, blinking hard. Because I didn't know I had to. Darlene rolled her eyes. "Maybe next time, don't leave your login info open on the family computer. I mean, that's kind of on you." There it was. That casual cruelty. That entitlement dressed up like logic. I glanced around the room. No one looked ashamed. No one apologized. They just looked annoyed, like I was making things uncomfortable for daring to care that they emptied my savings. They'd taken the money. Now they wanted to take the narrative, too. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. Instead, I turned, grabbed my purse, and walked to the door. Ricky called after me. "So, that's it? You're just leaving?" I didn't even glance back. "This isn't a misunderstanding," I said. "It's theft." And none of them tried to stop me. I stepped into the night air. The silence was louder than any argument. As I walked to my car, the question looped in my head like a song I couldn't turn off. How long have they seen me as their backup plan? By the time I got home, the city had already gone quiet. Boise after dark was always oddly still, like it was trying to keep its secrets. I parked in the usual spot, entered the building, and rode the elevator in silence. It was close to 11 p.m. when I walked into my apartment and locked the door behind me. I didn't even turn on the lights. I dropped my purse on the counter, kicked off my shoes, and stood in the middle of my kitchen with a blank stare. I wasn't tired. I wasn't even angry. Not yet. I just needed silence, and it gave me too much. After a few minutes, I opened my laptop, not really knowing why. Maybe part instinct, part compulsion. The screen lit up, still open to my bank dashboard from earlier. $87.16.
It hadn't changed.
Of course, it hadn't. I minimized the tab and opened my email. Search. Payment confirmation. 100 results flooded the inbox. Rent payments, Zelle transfers, Amazon orders I never made, flights I never took. I began scrolling, and the deeper I went, the more a pattern started to emerge. And then I found it. 2 years ago, a collection notice from a credit card company I didn't recognize. I had assumed it was junk back then and tossed it. But tonight, I clicked into the details. The card was opened in my name, my address, but the purchases didn't match my life. Luxury candles, streaming services I never used, grocery delivery from a zip code across town, and one of the first charges, a new iPad shipped to Darlene's apartment. I remembered calling the credit bureau, fighting to get the account closed. My parents acted confused, then defensive, then silent.
Now I understood why.
I closed the laptop. For the first time in my life, I realized that sometimes the people closest to us aren't protecting us. They're using us. And maybe love isn't loyalty. Maybe love means seeing someone clearly, even when it hurts, even when it changes everything. I remember sitting at my laptop that night, heart pounding, eyes scanning lines I wish I'd read more carefully 2 years ago. It was an old collection notice from a credit card company I didn't recognize. Back then, I had assumed it was junk mail, just another scam or a clerical error. I tossed it without a second thought. But tonight, I clicked into the details like I was opening a locked diary. The card was opened in my name, using my address. But the purchases? They didn't match my life. Luxury candles, streaming services I never heard of, grocery deliveries to a zip code across town. And one of the first charges, a new iPad shipped straight to Darlene's apartment. Suddenly, everything started clicking into place. I remembered calling the company, trying to dispute the account. The rep had asked if I authorized the application.
No, I said.
I never applied for this. The investigation traced the IP address back to one place, my parents' house. The same IP that drained my checking account last weekend. I confronted Darlene.
She didn't even deny it.
It was temporary, she said, sipping iced coffee like this was just another Tuesday. You weren't even using your credit. I figured it wouldn't hurt anything. I paid the balance to shut it down. Then I buried it like always. Back then, I told myself it was a fluke, a bad judgment call. Family does stupid things sometimes. But now I wasn't so sure. I sat back in my chair, pulled my hoodie over my knees, and clicked into a photo folder labeled Family. Scrolling through birthdays, holidays, blurry selfies from over the years, I remembered the next hit. 6 months ago, a phone call at midnight. Lori, it's Addison.
She's really sick.
Pneumonia. I don't have enough to cover the urgent care copay. Please. I sent $600 that night. No hesitation. 3 days later, Addison posted a TikTok from Lake Tahoe, dancing in a hotel robe, spinning in circles by the pool with her cousin. I called Darlene and asked, wait, was she even sick? Her answer burned into my brain. Oh my God, you're always so suspicious. We just needed a break. Sorry we didn't clear it with you, Miss IRS. I didn't respond. I didn't demand the money back. I just went quiet again. I don't know what was worse, that she lied, or that I had believed her so easily. Now, sitting in my dark kitchen, I looked around my apartment. The place felt smaller, like the walls were closing in with every memory I had tried to forget. I opened a blank spreadsheet. Category: rent paid for others. Amount: $800. Category: Darlene's car battery. Amount: $250. Category: emergency school supplies. Amount: $300. I kept typing cell phone bills, surprise birthday parties, gift cards, vet bills that were mine. When I stared at the total, I wasn't angry anymore. I was clear. This had never been about one moment. It had never been about a single betrayal. It was a system, a quiet, manipulative running tab no one thought I'd ever question. I clicked save as, typed the file name, family debt, do not ignore. I sat back, feeling the weight shift inside my chest. This wasn't just money.
It was respect.
And they'd taken that, too. 2 days passed. I didn't hear a word from them. Not a single text, not a voicemail, no apology, no defense. The silence felt tactical, like they were waiting for me to simmer down and pretend it never happened. But I wasn't the same woman they thought they could wear down. Thursday evening, I printed out every piece of evidence, bank statements, credit alerts, identity reports. I slid the stack into a clean black folder and set it on my kitchen table beside my keys. I stared at it for a full minute. It felt heavier than it was. Like it carried every favor I never agreed to, every dollar I never offered, every time they mistook me for a doormat. By 6:45 that evening, I was parking across the street from my parents' house. I didn't pull into the driveway like usual. I wasn't here for dinner. I wasn't here for smiles. I was here for the truth. I stepped out, folder tucked under my arm. The grass was still damp from afternoon sprinklers. A breeze rattled the wind chimes hanging by their porch. I rang the bell once. Pamela answered, face drawn and unsure. You didn't say you were coming, she murmured. I'm not here to eat. She stepped aside without asking anything more. Ricky sat on the couch, reclined with a soda in hand. ESPN played at low volume. Darlene was curled up in the corner chair, scrolling like always. I didn't bother with greetings. I dropped the folder on the coffee table. The slap of it hitting the surface made Ricky flinch. What's that? He asked. Proof, I said. And the last time I'll explain anything. He chuckled, more annoyance than humor. You're still on about that account? No, I replied calmly. Now it's about all of them. I opened the folder and pulled the first page free. Remember this? You co-signed a personal loan 18 months ago using my name. I didn't sign this. Ricky blinked. You left your social on that tax form. I needed it fast. So you committed fraud and used my identity without asking? He didn't respond. Pamela stood in the doorway, arms crossed tightly. Her eyes said it all. She'd known. We helped you, Ricky said finally. We put food on your plate when you were in school. Paid for your books. You think all that came free? I've repaid you 10 times over, I snapped. With silence. With rent, when you were short. With gifts you never earned. You used me because I didn't fight back. Darlene finally looked up. Oh, please. This whole victim act is exhausting. You act like we stole your soul. No, I said, voice sharp. You stole something far more practical. My name. My future. My peace of mind. Ricky waved me off. Don't act like you're some saint. We all do what we have to for family. I held up another document. Co-signature verification. I'm giving you 48 hours to fix this with the bank. Remove my name. Own it, or I report it. You wouldn't, Pamela whispered. I met her gaze. You want to bet on that? Darlene stood, mouth twisting. You're being cold. Heartless, even. What happened to us looking out for each other? I stepped toward the door. What happened is that you thought looking out for each other meant I never got to look out for myself. I grabbed the folder, tucked it under my arm again. Ricky tried one last time. So what now? You going to take your own family to court? If you ever use my name again, I said flatly, I'll use yours in court. On paper. On the record. No one spoke. As I pulled the front door open, I didn't look back. You think guilt's going to keep me quiet? I said loud enough to echo down the hallway. Try me. Then I left, the door slamming behind me, not in rage, but in resolve. It had been a quiet week. Too quiet. No emails. No voicemails. No knocks at the door. I thought maybe, just maybe, they were letting it go. But Saturday night, at exactly 8:03 p.m., a text lit up my phone from Pamela. Lunch at 1 tomorrow. Just us. Let's talk like family. Just us had always been code for. Let's sweep this under the rug without outsiders watching. I should have ignored it. But part of me needed to hear what their next excuse would be. So I charged my laptop, printed 3 things, and placed them in a manila envelope. Not as evidence anymore. As closure. Sunday was warm, too warm for anything serious to happen. And yet, there I was, walking up the steps of my parents' porch at 12:59 p.m., envelope in hand, notepad of patience completely empty. The front door creaked open before I could knock. Pamela stood there in her apron, hair curled like it was Easter brunch. "You came," she said, smile stiff. I did. The dining table was already set. For places. I guess Justice meant them plus me again. Ricky looked up from his chair and gave me a small nod, like we were meeting for a board meeting instead of a reckoning. Darlene didn't say anything. Just sipped sweet tea, tapping her acrylics against the stem. I didn't sit. "We thought this would be a chance to reset," Pamela began, placing a dish of rolls in the center of the table. "To clear the air." "Clear it or twist it?" I asked. Ricky leaned back, arms crossed. "Look, none of us handled things perfectly, but dragging this out, it's just hurting everyone.
Especially you."
"Hurting me?" I repeated. "You emptied my account and used my identity, but I'm the one making it worse?" "We're trying to move on," Pamela added, like this was a family disagreement over a burnt casserole and not financial fraud. Darlene finally spoke. "We don't want to fight, Lorraine. What's done is done. Let's not let money come between us." That was their version of peace. No apology. No ownership. Just pressure to pretend. I sat down slowly, placing the envelope on my plate like it was part of the setting. "Funny you say that," I said. "Because I ran into Aunt Debbie yesterday at the grocery store. She asked if I was still being as generous as always." Pamela's smile cracked for half a second. She said, I continued, pulling out the first sheet of paper, "that you told her I was paying for Addison's summer camp this year."